Happy Friday, everyone. This is Ashley with CourtReserve. We are so excited to have you today. I am with Kim Lehman. She was the Master of Programming and Reservations over at the USTA National Campus up until she decided to come and be a part of the CourtReserve team this year. Thanks, Kim, for coming aboard and helping us talk about summer camps.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So today, we are really going to focus on how to use the events and programming in CourtReserve to do all of your summer camp registrations. Now, not only summer camps, but clinics, classes, those things that are so important for facilities to get multiple people to sign up for. We're going to talk about waivers and payments. And then because you're here today, we also have some things to come that Kim has already had the development team put together so that we can show you some cool features around programming that's going to come out in a couple weeks. So we're really excited. I'm going to turn it over to Kim. Don't forget that this is recorded. We will put it up on the YouTube channel by Monday. So if your staff is missing this, they can go out to YouTube, the CourtReserve YouTube channel, check it out on Monday, and we'll do that. And as well as you're going to have some questions today because we're going to make some light bulbs go on. So put those questions in the Q&A and we will answer them throughout the webinar. So Kim, go ahead and let me get started.
All right.
Let me give you some information. All right, you should be good to go.
Okay. I gotta share my screen. Okay, there it is. All right, so we'll go through the basic setup for summer camp and how we would recommend setting that up. The summer camp setups we always found was a little bit different than a normal program. If you're setting up a normal program or clinic, you might have it reoccurring maybe once a week over a series of weeks. But summer camps are generally something that's a daily reoccurrence, but maybe only for a few days. So when you go create your event, you're going to want to name it, obviously, summer camp. Now, you can set up your summer camps in different ways. If you have different, if you want to do different levels or things like that, you can set up an event per day to be level specific. So if you want to limit your counts to be, like red ball, orange ball, things like that, you only want a certain number of kids in each group. I would recommend sending up a group for each one. For the purposes of this webinar, we're going to do just a general week of summer camp and just call it week 2. Let's call it week. I've already set up 1 and 2, for example, so we'll call it week 3. So your categories, junior camps, you can call them whatever you want as far as your categories though. And then I always recommend, we really like using the sessions because with the sessions, you can actually drill down to your finances and things like that. And you can see based on the session, where your money and your buckets are. So we'll set our max registrants. So then you want to start your day for your camp or your first day of the camp, obviously, to be the first week of your camp. Start time, and then your end time. And now the reoccurrence rules is where it gets really important. So you're going to want to do a daily reoccurrence every 1 day and end on that Friday. So if you have a 5-day, this is a 5-day camp. So it's going to start on Monday. It's going to end on Friday. It's going to reoccur every day from 9 to 12. If you have a week like a 4th of July week or a Memorial Day week, you can set your exception dates as well. My camps, we always did a full session registration. We didn't allow drop-ins. So that one was always the easy for us. We could set one price and be done with it. And then allow wait lists is always key when you're doing a summer camp as well. So we go ahead and we pick our instructors and then our courts. All right. And then we always like to set the prevent member from withdrawing to be a really large number. So then they always had to contact our office in order to withdraw from the event. Now, here's where it gets to be, you can set a lot of customizations for your summer camp. So if you have forms that you've done in the past where you've always wanted to collect information, setting up custom fields for this information is something that you could do within CourtReserve. So for our summer camps, we would set emergency contact. we would set emergency contact phone number. So I always wanted at least one emergency contact for every player. So I would make emergency contact 1 and phone number 1 required fields. And then you can do an additional 1 and 2, contact 2 that are not required maybe. We always did an additional person to pick up the player in case maybe grandma needed to come pick them up one day. That's why you then always include a phone number as well. And then does your player have any sort of allergies or pre-existing conditions that we should be aware of? Asthma, peanut allergies, bees, do they carry an EpiPen? That kind of stuff. You can actually have them complete that in the form as well. I always made this a required field, so that way they had to answer. And if the player didn't have any pre-existing conditions, then they could just type none or NA, they couldn't leave it blank, but I was guaranteed I was going to get an answer for this one. So then you're going to want to set all of your additional parameters. All right, so we always opened up our summer camp registration on a specific day and time. We always ended our summer camp registration 3 days in advance, so our coaches could prepare over the summer or over the weekend. This was kind of an open-ended date too, though. Sometimes if we still had spots available, we would count down to the number of hours in advance. Maybe we would close it on Saturday instead of on Friday, just to give a chance for a couple more people to register. If you do take drop-ins, I highly recommend using the X number of dates to turn off full registration. That way, after the first day of camp, you could say that there's, if you set this to 4, once that first day has gone through, it'll turn off full session registration, and then you can just take drop-ins for the rest of the week. All right, and then you would want to set the rest of your description and everything like that. Registrations restrictions are another important one. If you've got a minimum age that maybe you want your players to be and a maximum age that you want your players to be, that's an important restriction as well. And then if you do set these to be levels specific, those rating categories are also going to be very important. We used to set these for certain levels of our camp, like our academy camps and things like that, just so players, you're getting the right level of player within those camps as well. All right, so once we save this, now we've got all of our courts and our camp set up for those 5 days of the camp. All right, so I wanted to flip in. Ashley, were there any questions about setup?
No, but I do want to mention that, there may be some questions about, well, how do I set up custom fields or how do I set up ratings?
Sure.
If you have questions about that, you can definitely reach out to the CourtReserve support team, or if we have time at the end, maybe Kim, we can show some of those as well.
Okay, so let's flip into the member portal. So when I'm in the member portal and I'm actually registering a player for camp, I'll just show you what that looks like and what the custom fields look like as well. And then after that, we'll flip back over onto the reporting side, and then we'll look at how to pull some of that information. All right, so here is my organization's website. Okay, so my member portal. One of the things I wanted to point out was within this member portal, you can actually do a lot of customization just from your homepage to show your summer camps and showcase your summer camps right up front, so people don't have to search for them. One of the things you can do is you can create custom event filters. And so my custom event filters are set specifically, there's really no parameters around them, except they're just searching for the word summer camp. So if I go to here at summer camps, I can click and I get everything that I've created that is a summer camp. So if I go ahead and I register for one of these events, this is one that I set up before. So here's my standard registration form. If I go ahead and I select my player that I would like to register for, oh, it looks like I did guests on this one. So here's my emergency contact information that I can fill out. And then if you also have waivers and things like that, they would tie to the event as well. Oh, and it looks like my player doesn't have the required ratings that I set up because they are not a red ball participant. Let's try this one. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That means the ratings fields work well.
Yeah, so the ratings fields work also. So if you do want to designate ratings for these, you can do that too. If I had players that didn't have a rating, we always just ask that on our website and in the description that they contact our office in order to register, and we would get them set up. Let's see, none. Okay. All right, so once I go ahead and I pay this out, we'll flip back into the member portal or the admin portal and kind of take a look at how those registrations populate within my events. So within each week of summer camp, every single day, you're going to get the list of players. Anything that's a custom field is going to populate in this eye next to their name. This information is always editable too at any time. So if I was taking registrations over the phone, maybe for multiple players or multiple weeks of camp, I would really take down the information for the first week of camp within that first registration. And then I would register them for their subsequent weeks and just type NA for all of the required fields on the admin side. And then I would go back in this side of my screen, I would have week 1 with all the correct custom fields. And this side of the screen, I would have week 2 with all the correct custom fields, and I would copy and paste everything over to the second week. So this is editable by clicking the I, or if mom calls later and says, I need to add somebody to the pickup list, you can add them here at any time. So all of this information is available for you as an admin to update throughout the summer. All right, so let's, Ashley, were there any questions?
Yeah, we actually have a few and they're really good.
Okay.
So if someone registers on Monday, do they need to register every single weekday for that week?
Well, it depends on the rules that you have set up for camp. So this specific camp is set up to be Monday through Friday registration with no drop-in. So it's reoccurring every day for that week between the start and the end date, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, if I wanted to go in here and make it so they can just pick and choose what dates they want to register for, I would enable this for a drop-in for single dates. So if they register on Monday and they're registering before the start date and they register for the full session, they're going to get Monday through Friday. But I also didn't set up this event. The way this is currently set up, the registration turns off 3 days in advance. So I wouldn't be allowing them to sign up on Monday in this instance. But if I turned off this restriction, I could, in fact, where is my, oh, I turned off, hold on, all dates, there we go. So if I wanted to keep full registration on for the entire week, I could do that. And I could also prorate the registration if I want to as well. So if I wanted, turn off full registration when there's only 2 days left, I could do that. And these combined settings would prorate and let you register throughout the week.
All right.
Okay, that answers their question.
The next question is, can custom fields have price differences associated with them? So can you make the camp more expensive if they add a custom field choice?
No, but that is a great feedback, something that we're actually working on. So right now, if you want to charge a separate price for your camp based on a different registration item, like maybe summer camp plus aftercare or just general summer camp versus general summer camp. So how you would have to do it right now is you would have to create separate registration. So if you wanted it to be a summer camp plus an aftercare, that would be one registration. General summer camp would be one registration. We are currently working on a feature to do event add-ons where you could do that, where you could actually add point of sale items and make, special event add-ons available that would increase the price of your camp for the add-on that they're adding. So it's something coming, not in time for summer camp, unfortunately, this year, but we'll have that in the future. It's something they're working on.
I just saw people do cartwheels, so that's awesome. So we've got one more question, and it's around guest. Can guests be added to a week of camp if there's no member in the event? We have folks who want to sponsor a friend and we would like to allow them in the camp, but they need a child signed up as well. So it would seem.
Okay. That might be something that we take offline for support. We can probably figure out a way to work around it. I know right now on the admin side, there is a way to sign up guests without having a member sponsor on the member side of it, but we can probably walk them through that in support, I would think.
Okay, and all the questions have been answered.
Okay, sounds good. So let's go into some reporting. So if I have set up my summer camp, it's Friday before, I want to get all of my pros ready for as they go into prep for the weekend, make their groupings and things like that. So what I would do every Friday after theoretically my registration closed, usually, hopefully it was closed on Friday so I could pull them every player. So I would go in and I'd set up myself some canned reporting. So within the events reports, you have this registrant detail report. And so this is really where you can create a master roster with all of those custom fields and pull everything into one report. So there's a lot of information on this page. So canned reports save a lot of time. So what I would do is I would go over here into saved reports, and actually a couple weeks in advance, I would usually set up my reporting criteria in advance, and I would name it, the date range of the camp. And then, I also would create another one as we would go through the week for each individual day of the camp, because you could also create court assignment lists, and you could give, each instructor, a list of each of their players with their, any emergency contact information, or even the health information about the player if you wanted to as well. So once, I always recommend making these reports shared reports so that anybody on your admin team that has access to reports can go in and pull them too. So once you load the report, you're going to get, so I've got my start date, my end date. This field right here is super important when you're doing an event that has multiple days of registration. So by checking member group full event registration, it's going to group all of your individual days together into one registration. So if this person is signed up for 5 days, they're not showing 5 times on my report. I'm just going to pull them once. With this report, I just did a basic anything between the start date and end date with the word summer in it, because I don't have any other programs currently in my system. You could call this summer camp. If there was, I could do this by categories too. I've done that in the past. I usually try and put in the least amount of criteria possible, so I don't forget anything, and so I don't accidentally miss something. So the information that I have put into this canned report: event name, date, first name, last name of the player, their email address, phone number, date of birth, age. Age was something that we added to this report too, I think in the last year. So that populates your age for you. Gender, all of that custom field information is here as well. And then I usually would like to pull in their junior rating too, just so I know the level of the player. So when you run this report, you get all of the beautiful information into a table. Now you can download it to Excel. You can manipulate it however you want. You can create, we used to create our own spreadsheets and give them to certain departments. So I used to have one big master spreadsheet for that week of camp. I would have a tab for my medical team. I would have a tab for my 10 and under coaches. I would have a tab for my middle ranged kids. And then I would have a tab for my academy kids. So there's a lot of ways that you can break up this information once you actually have it downloaded. But this pulls it from the report all into one spot for you. Another thing I would do on the daily would be to, I would pull court assignments too from this report as well. I'm going to show you a way that we're going to do that actually upcoming for April, an April release that we're doing. We're making that a lot easier, that you can actually pull that from the court sheet a little bit easier. But for the purpose of this report, we're going to go into another report and load it up here. And then when we run this report, I need to take out the dates here. Actually, this is that bug I just reported. So run this report. And so if I was just looking at the name of the event, this is the first, the date that I specified on that canned report, the name of my kids here, and then their ages, and then what court they're assigned to. So, myself and my partner, we used to actually be there every morning for summer camp at 7:30 in the morning, and we used to assist with check-in. And so the court assignments were super important for us every morning. And so having those on those canned reports too was really important. Ashley, any questions about any of this reporting for the event side?
Yeah, so we actually have a question. She says, we use packages for our academy. Can we do that for camp as well?
That's a good question. I would have to really dive into packages and see how they would want to do it. I can imagine that since packages are available for drop-ins, there's probably a way of doing that, but off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure.
Yep. So I think, Meg, if you'll reach out to support and we'll pull your question, and maybe the team, we can send you a video later on about how best to do that. So we'll do that. So our next question is, here's a scenario. We offer half day and full day options for summer camp. Half day is 9 to 12. Full day is 9 to 3:30. Last summer, we ran into an issue because we had camp from 9 to 12 and 1 to 4 on the court sheet, but had to register full day campers for both morning and afternoon. How can we only have to register full day campers once?
I used to do this. So I understand, I think I really understand the question. I used to create 2 different camps. I had one camp that was a full day registration, and I had one camp that was a half day registration. So anybody that wanted to, so maybe I did the opposite of what you did previously. So the players that wanted to do the full day camp would register for the full day, and the players that wanted the half day camp would register for the half day. You have to, unfortunately, you would have to set your maxes in advance. So you'd want to say, I want this many full day campers and I want this many half day campers. You can play with your numbers though. So if you're less heavy on the morning campers, maybe you can play with your numbers a little bit and increase your full day campers as well. So it was always a numbers game for us. Where are we heavy in one area? Where are we not heavy in another? Let's take coaches from this area, put them here, increases our maxes here. So I don't think there's 100% the one way to do everything, but I feel like if you created two events, made one a half day registration and one a full day registration, you would be able to achieve that without having to register one player twice.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Okay. So our next question, this is great because I think we have a lot of different ways you can do this. What about tracking attendance for each player?
That's a great one. So you could do, let's flip into the Who's Here Today screen. I love the Who's Here Today screen. It's very near and dear to my heart because I helped him design it. So I love using the sheet. The sheet was great for our front desk. It has a lot of information in it. So I highly recommend it for check-in. So let's go to my first day of camp, June 5th. Okay, so if you've just got, maybe you've got a small summer camp with 30 kids, your front desk can probably handle checking those players in as they come in every morning. On the Who's Here Today screen, you can see when your players are coming in, what they're here for, the time that their event is taking place, and then what courts they're assigned to, the instructor that's on the court that they're on, and then if they owe any money, which is always helpful. And then it also tells me if they need to sign a waiver, which is always super important too, because I need to catch these players before they get onto the court. And then from here, you could check them in and send them on their way with their court assignment. You could also set up kiosk check-in. I don't have the kiosk set up right now, but on the app, each player has a barcode. So if you have the kiosk check-in and set up and enabled, and you have those kiosks set up in your lobby, your players could go scan that QR or scan that barcode or QR code, and it could, if you have those court assignments set up in there in the player profile, it can check them in, send them a nice positive beep that let them know that we found them, and then it would present them with their court assignment there as well. We did add a feature in the last month, I think, that allows you to prevent check-in if you don't have a player waiver. So that would be a good way to make sure that you're getting players like this that don't have their waiver signed.
So a couple more questions around check-in.
Sure.
Can the Who's Here Today feature be used for a poll check-in scenario?
I don't see why not. This is really pulling me any kind of reservation that I have for the day. The Who's Here Today screen is showing me events, it's showing me reservations, showing me private lessons. So if you have somebody that is, and it just depends on how their club is set up and what they require. So if you require reservations for the pool, those reservations are going to show up on this list. But if it's I would need to see how their club is set up to talk about, check-in situations for when they're not already on a list for when they're coming in.
Yep. And actually, we had 2 of these questions from 2 different people.
Okay.
They want to know if the pro or instructor can check in on the mobile app.
Yes. So I don't have my app set up, but this would be the mobile app is we're actually getting ready to redesign some parts of the mobile app to make it even more user friendly. But the mobile app, you would pull up your event on the mobile app, and then you can look at your list of registered players on the mobile app. And then there's just toggles there to check them in and check them, well, not check them out, but check them in as they come into the court. And so it would be just like any other event check-in. If your pros are using that for other events, these summer camps would show up on your apps as well to check players in as they come in.
Yeah, so the questions that you guys are putting in the Q&A, we actually will be able to pull those. And so what we will do after the webinar is over, we'll make a short video and send out what it looks like on the mobile side. And we'll send that to you guys who have asked about the mobile check-in, just so you can kind of see where to go. And Adrian asked about the same thing, kind of, are there any other options to registrants for check-in? So you got the mobile option, you got Who's Here Today, and that player self check-in with the barcode is excellent. And you can actually set it up. So I'll actually make that part of the video and send that to you guys as well. Let's see, we've got some more. Oh, this is a great question. Can you check out campers when they get picked up? Would this also have authorized people to pick up for campers?
So from the Who's Here Today screen, we are not showing those custom fields for the authorized people that are there to check them in and out. One of the reasons I would recommend giving your instructors, some sort of list daily with all of the players, like contact information and emergency contacts and things like that. The only way to check them out would be to uncheck them in at this point. I don't think we have anything set up for checking out a player that I'm aware of, Ashley, unless there's something that you can think of off the top of your head.
Unless they had a check out status.
Yeah, unless we added some or checkout status. So you actually, that's perfect. You can add a check-in status. So you can actually create a check-in status for checkout. So after they check out, maybe when they're leaving, you could change their status to checked out. That's actually a good point.
All right, let's see, we've got that one. Oh, I think this question is going to lead us into something that's very exciting. Okay. Can you add one or multiple required waivers once registrants are already signed up in the camp?
Awesome. So today, no. But coming April 11th, yes, we can do that. So we've been working on a feature the last few weeks to allow you to assign an event-specific waiver to an event. If a player is signing up for that event, they will have to sign that event for week 1. If they're signing up for week 2, they will have to sign that waiver again for week 2. So it is a way for you to get waivers specifically into an event, and then not have them as just like a general liability waiver. So Ashley, if you want, I can flip over into our QA environment and give them a preview of what that looks like.
Yes, this is the candy. This is the
all right, guys. Getting a look behind the curtain. All right. So in order to do event-specific waivers, you do have to have waivers enabled for your organization. But once you have waivers enabled for your organization, you can set up, and you set them up the same exact way that you set up a regular waiver. You just don't add any signing rules to it. So once that's enabled and you have those waivers set up, we're going to have this lovely tab right here to select applicable event waivers. So any waiver that you have created in your system will populate here. So I can just select a generic event waiver if I wanted to, and add this to my event. The cool thing is that even if you've already started your summer camp signups and you add this waiver to your event, actually, I'm going to show you. I think I have players registered for this one right here. Okay, so if I go here, shows me that my player doesn't have any waivers signed. So it operates retroactively. So if somebody's already signed up and you go and you add this event specific waiver to your event, it'll now show me that that player needs to sign this new waiver. So even if you've already taken summer camp signups and you want to add these waivers on later on, like later in a few weeks when we release this feature, now those players will show up that they have an additional waiver that needs to be signed for this event. You could push it to their email. You could collect it next time they come in. But it's a great way to add an additional waiver to your event. So you can have a general liability waiver set up for every person, but you can attach an individual waiver to an event if you want as well. And then once they sign it, this gets stored in their profile, and then you can retrieve it at a later date too, and it'll be tagged with the event name. Okay.
You want to show us the other thing?
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit. So we've upgraded the attendance report that's you can pull from the event list. So when you've got an individual date, we've always had this attendance report selection right here, but it just pulled up a generic report that just had a bunch of columns that maybe you were going to use, maybe you didn't use. Now, when you click this function, you're going to get, let's see, QA is working a little slow. Give me 1 second. Come on, there it is. Okay, so you're going to get this little pop-up window with a bunch of different options on here as well. So you can select whether you want the player name, that'll be default checked. Everything that you would have received previously is going to be default checked in this little window. You can uncheck things that you don't want. Obviously, if they're being pulled on this list, they're probably registered for your event, is paid, don't necessarily, you might care about that, might not. What we're also doing as before the next release on April 11th, we're going to add the ability to pull custom fields from the event on here too. So you can actually use this report right from the event. You wouldn't necessarily need to go to the report screen and pull the canned report. You could pull a report right here from this day. You could even, pull it for multiple days. So this camp is set up to be from the 5th to the 9th. You could pull it from the entire week if you want. You could just pull it for that day and just pull the players from that day too. So it's definitely gonna save some time in pulling reports for those custom fields. And it'll also have court assignments. We're gonna put court assignments on this screen as well too.
That is very exciting. So we do have a question.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you guys just quickly about some of the other things coming April 11th. But one of the questions is that when we launch and do push notifications, can they send a check-in link to the parents so that upon arrival to the camp, the parents can do a self-check-in?
So the self-check-in is set up. I would have to, double check what our rules are behind self-check-in. I believe that's just scannable through the kiosk. But I might need to take that offline to see the parameters of what they already have set up.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, go ahead and think about those last minute questions that you want us to answer before we go. So while you're doing that, just wanted to give you some highlights, and Kim doesn't even have to show these things, but some exciting things that will be released on April 11th. We're going to come out with court waitlisting, push notifications, of course. We are going to come out with organized play, which is a very exciting feature that we've been working on for many months now. Global memberships. We're going to do automated refund rules. So that's going to be very exciting, especially for those camps that you're probably setting up. The event waivers, which Kim's already talked about. And we're also going to have enterprise functionality for those of you who have multiple locations and would like to log in with the same login. Now, don't forget that this past Monday, we came out with convenience fee. It's a great way to offset the credit card fees that, of course, all of us have to pay anytime we take fees. And you can find out more about that in the knowledge base or by reading the release notes that are located in the top of your admin platform. Any last things you want to say, Kim?
Good luck with your summer camps. They were one of my favorite things to plan, but they can be a beast. So we're right there with you. Let us know if you need anything.
All right, everyone. Well, give us a couple of hours. We'll email you out the video about the player self check-in, how to do kiosk and stuff, and hope you guys have a great Friday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye, Ash.